I'm here with festival promoter, True. True, good morning. How we doing?
Good morning.
Why don't we bring up the mic up a little bit closer to you? Yeah, perfect. How we doing?
We're good.
Thanks for coming on down. Now, you got something really cool happening. It's called BLERDFEST.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing about BLERDFEST is that a lot of people who are blurds don't know that they're blurds because the term blurred is relatively new. Essentially, it's a black nerd.
Okay, so a new term, like how new? Like it was new to me. I was excited when I looked it up.
Within the last few years, hip-hop acts like Childish Gambino, shows like Atlanta, Donald Glover was one of the first people to utilize a term to recognize that as a black person that is not necessarily within the black mainstream, but then not necessarily within the nerd mainstream, that creates a special sort of double consciousness.
Whoa. So you're super hyper aware of who you are because you're kind of like you're your own stream.
Yeah, it's sort of like W.E.B. Du Bois spoke of the double consciousness of the American Negro. This is that to the next degree.
Right on. So you started a festival through a party.
Yeah, you know, I find that whenever you see communities that grow around special interests, those communities tend to be disproportionately white relative to the community at large. So going into those spaces, I find that the content I have an interest in, but I don't see the range of diversity with which I'm comfortable.
Heard that.
So like with many things, if there is something that I feel the emotional, spiritual, or psychological need for that doesn't exist, I feel compelled to help create it.
So you created BLERDFEST.
Yes.
Where's this taking place at?
Algiers Auditorium.
Algiers Auditorium, and when is it?
This Saturday,
Okay.
April 6th. The festival breaks down into two components. There is a convention during the day called BLERDFEST Con. That's from 11:30 in the morning until 6 in the evening. It's all ages. And then from 10 to 2 in the morning is the costume ball. It's called
right on.
BLERDFEST Ball.
And what kind of things can you expect to see or hope to see at BLERDFEST? What kind of events or installations?
Well, the con is very much like a typical comic book convention.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Hannah Beachler, she is the first woman in history to be nominated for and to win an Oscar for production design last year for Black Panther.
Oh, wow.
She lives right here in New Orleans, and she is going to be coming down to talk about her inspiration, the challenges that she faces in her career. We have the theme of this year is Afrofuturism, which essentially
awesome.
is imagining a future with black people in it, because as you may be aware, much of science fiction that is produced and consumed excludes the black experience. If you think about one of the most influential science fiction films of all time, Star Wars, looking back, it's frightening to imagine that George Lucas imagined an entire galaxy that was absolutely devoid of black people.
That's very true. Yeah, you're right.
So Afrofuturism is essentially correcting that erasure. And so the panels are going to be Afrofuturism. There's one called Black to the Future, which is what is Afrofuturism and where is it taking us? And we have various authors and filmmakers and poets and journalists who are speaking on the topic of Afrofuturism. We have another one called We In There, Black Representation in Nerd Culture, which has comic book writers and content producers in video games and films and books that are speaking on how the change in representation has shifted to be more inclusive of the black experience in the last several years.
That's awesome.
And then at night, because this is New Orleans, we go beyond a traditional comic book convention in that we have to include music and dancing and drinks and more costumes.
Right on. Well, I mean, you can live it.
Exactly.
You know? Like, be the Afrofuturism. You know, what is the costume? Like, what does Afrofuturism look like? Show up and
Exactly. So I have my costume already, and I am hoping that other people come out in costume to show us what does your vision of black people in the future look like. So you can attend one or both. To attend one of the events is $25.
we can't mention amounts, but we can mention that there are tickets available. Correct?
So there are tickets available for either event or for both.
Okay. And if they want to get them in advance, can they get them online?
Yes. BLERDFEST.org is our site. That's Blerd, B-L-E-R-D, blerdfest.org.
And then they'll be able to get them at the door as well?
Yes. There'll be a little bit more at the door.
All right. And then, once again, where is BLERDFest taking place?
It's Algiers Auditorium, which is 2485 Guadalcanal Street. It's in Federal City, which is the first stop off of the bridge, just on the West Bank. So it's about less than 10 minutes from where we're sitting.
All right. And when is it happening again?
It is this Saturday, April 6th, 11:30 to 6, and then 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Right on. A whole day of BLERDFest.
Exactly.
True. Thanks for that's awesome. And
it is.
Thanks for letting people know and putting this on and creating something that needed to be created.
And if the community comes out to support, it'll become an annual event.
Okay. Do you have a website?
We do. blerdfest.org has all of the information, has our contact information, how to vend, how to sponsor, how to be down with us. It's all there.
All right. True. Thanks for coming on down and letting everybody know.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to jump back into it with some Professor Longhair. Just because I'm feeling really good right now. This is Big Chief right here at WWOZ 90.7 FM, New Orleans.